Hi, I'm Melanie Welles Creamer, the Mount Vernon greenhouse manager, and today I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at seed sowing in our production greenhouses. We use a superfine germination mix for sowing our seeds. After dumping out a bag of mix, we have to wet it down. The growing mix is primarily peat moss based, and so the wetting down before planting is very important because peat moss can be very hard to wet after you plant in it. So this just makes the seed sowing process much easier for us. So now I have to get it to be nice and uniform, moist, and you can kind of equate it to like if you were making bread and you were kneading it by hand, or mixing up a really gigantic batch of cookie dough. These are the seeds I'm sowing today. This is nasturtium jewel mix, and they're going to be grown in the greenhouse for about 8 weeks, and then they'll be transplanted into the upper and lower garden. Typically we use a plug tray that has 128 cells in it. But today, since I'm sowing nasturtiums, which are a larger seed, I'm going to use this tray, which is a 72 cell plug tray. Now to fill the tray, take the germination mix, and I actually overfill the cells. This is because I always tap the tray down on the bench slightly. And that's just to help settle the growing mix, the germination mix in this case. And then I always tap it lightly because we still want to leave airspace in there because that's very important for when the little roots germinate and start to grow. And then I simply level off the extra mix, push aside the excess, and now we're ready to sow the seeds. Because these are large seeds, I'm simply going to place one in each cell, right in the middle, and then gently pat it down. And I will do that until the entire tray is filled. Now, in all of the germination literature I've read about nasturtiums, it tells you to soak the seeds for 24 hours before sowing. But for whatever reason, when I do that, none of the seeds germinate. So I just skip that step now and just sow the seeds directly into the plug trays. And we usually get an 80% or better germination rate. And now I'm just going to pack down each cell very lightly in preparation for covering the seeds with vermiculite. This is vermiculite, and this is what we use to cover our seeds after we sow them. Vermiculite is very light in weight and also has great moisture holding capabilities, so it makes it ideal for use in seed sowing because it helps keep the seeds moist while we're waiting for them to germinate. So just very lightly, just spread it over the top of the seeds. And you want to keep even distribution over the entire tray. Now that the seeds have been sown and covered with vermiculite, it's time to label the tray. Every tray we sow gets labeled with the name of the plant and the date sown. And now the tray is ready to go into the greenhouse. Each tray gets watered. I water until the water starts to drain through the tray. Then we let it sit for a minute, and once the water's done dripping, place the tray onto the heat mat. And it will stay on the heat mat until the seeds germinate. And they get watered as needed. And sometimes that's 2, even 3 times a day when the weather's very warm, that they need to be watered so often. And then here's a tray of nasturtiums that was sown 2 weeks ago. And you can see how much they've grown in just 2 weeks. In a couple weeks, when the seeds we sow today germinate, come back and join us for a behind-the-scenes look at transplanting in the Mount Vernon greenhouses.